I was living in a boarding school, far away from my family. Sometimes it made me sad, but strangely, I liked that school. The large garden I could see from my room, the paths stretching between the trees, the hospital building, the sports fields. Everything was organized. Everything looked peaceful. I was satisfied with my life, except I didn't have many friends. At school, I felt a little lonely. That year, the school went on break. New Year's was approaching. Everyone left the dormitory to go to their families. I didn't. My father and I were separated. New Year's wasn't important to us, and home was very far away. Traveling back and forth was expensive. My family didn't really care either. In a dormitory for 200 people, only 3 of us were left. Everywhere else was completely empty, and the school was silent, covered in snow. Strangely, it was very beautiful. At night, I would go outside and take walks. Fresh air, the sound of snow, silence. Sometimes I'd get a coffee and walk toward the hospital area. That silence felt good to me, until that night. One night, while I was walking, I suddenly heard ambulance sirens. They were coming toward the school. Someone was brought in on a stretcher. He was covered in blood. He was screaming. His screams echoed across the entire campus. I thought, he's injured. He must be in pain. He probably wants a sedative. After a while, the sounds stopped. What a night, I said, and I went back to my room. The dormitory doors automatically lock at 2 a.m. No one can enter or leave until morning. Only security can open them. It was around 4 a.m. I was playing games on my computer. From time to time, I looked out the window, watching the falling snow. And then, something caught my eye. On the hospital side, under the streetlights, there was someone dressed in black. He was walking quickly toward the dormitory. A thought crossed my mind. Who comes at this hour? There are only 3 of us. The doors are locked, but the man kept coming closer. And then I heard the sound of locked doors shaking. Someone was forcing the door. I looked out the window. I couldn't see anyone, but a fear was rising inside me. Then the man moved away from the dormitory. He went toward the other side. There was a fire escape at the back of our building. Some students would secretly enter from there if they were late, and at that moment I heard the sound of metal being climbed. There was a security guard below. He was frantically searching around with a flashlight that calmed me a little, but the sounds were getting closer to our floor. And then a window shattered. I panicked. I thought he was a burglar. I pushed the table against the door. I turned off the lights. I waited silently. The room across from mine was empty. They had gone on vacation. I heard a door opening. My heart felt like it was about to burst out of my chest. Footsteps were moving through the hallway. Doors were being tried. I tried to call security on my phone. It was ringing, but no one answered. And every time I called, I could hear a phone ringing from the end of the hallway. When I hung up, the sound stopped. After a while, I heard police sirens. I looked out the window. The front of the school was full. The police entered the dormitory. At that moment, I felt relieved. They checked the rooms one by one. They knocked on my door too. When I opened it, guns were pointed at me. They took me outside. They checked to see if there was blood on me. In the hallway, there were bloodstains. Then I learned the truth. The man who was brought in by ambulance, he had killed his wife. He had hidden her body in the basement. Neighbors heard screams and called the police. When the police arrived, he injured himself. He screamed that he was injured and asked for an ambulance, but the neighbors had said this: "We didn't hear a man. We heard a woman's voice." The police went back. They found the truth in the basement. When the man realized this, he escaped from the hospital. The person who ran to the dormitory was him. Security had noticed him. He wanted to enter the dormitory and hide. The security guard hit him on the head with a baseball bat he found. The man escaped, and he was never found again. I moved out of that dormitory. I left that area. Another school, another life. But that night still appears in my dreams.